But first, I'd like to dispel some of the ideas we have, kind of like clearing the cobwebs away so that then we can move forward. So myth number 1, therapists improve over time because it is experience that makes the difference. Interestingly, the research does not seem to support this notion. Therapists do not improve over time. In fact, on average, only on average, but on average, we get just slightly worse the longer we're in practice. So why might that be? My understanding is that instead of growing and tweaking, that the reason why we don't necessarily improve is because we're actually just grooving in bad habits. There's a great quote that some people have 30 years experience and some people have the same experience for 30 years. So all that being said, it doesn't mean that we can't improve over time. Of course, that's what I'm trying to really work with in myself and with my students, is figuring out how can we reliably and more effectively grow. But it is also true, on the other hand, that we can't just assume that more years in practice will naturally lead to better results. So now to myth number 2. Finding the best technique or theory and learning it well will make you an excellent therapist. So after years of research, the verdict is out on this one. And it says that what theory you use doesn't really matter. In fact, how well you do that theory in terms of really fidelity to the model doesn't seem to matter either. So they've taken experts in these different theories and had them watch videotapes of clinicians working and really rating, how well did they follow the model or stick to the manual or that kind of thing. And even rating on that by an expert of how well did that person do the theory doesn't predict clinical outcomes. So really all the efforts and money we've put into manualizing treatment seems to be something of an epic fail. The truth is, our field hasn't improved in its outcomes over the last 50 years. That might be because we have focused so much on kind of competing between theories rather than focusing on the person of the therapist and how to help them grow. And looking at something that the research does really seem to point to as being important to outcomes, which are called common factors. Those factors that are important in treatment, but are really common across theoretical orientations. Now, that being said, that leads us to myth number 3. Because many people have started to hear about common factors, but through their, hearing about it, a sort of different myth, sort of opposite myth has emerged. So we have the people that really buy into myth number 2, and then those that buy into myth number 3. And myth number 3 is theory doesn't matter at all. The only thing that makes the difference is the therapeutic alliance. Now, there's a lot to unpack there. So first, with theory doesn't matter. While the common factors research does suggest that which theory you use may not make a difference in outcomes, having some theory does really matter. And secondly, while common factors are important, they go way beyond just the therapeutic alliance, which just happens to be the most famous. But truthfully, there's all sorts of common factors. The installation of hope, the ability to help the client confront what they've been avoiding and feel a sense of mastery and take ownership of that, mastery experience. So there's all sorts of common factors that go beyond just the therapeutic alliance. So as we're talking about the therapeutic alliance, that leads us to myth number 4. The therapeutic alliance is all about warmth and empathy. Well, warmth and empathy do contribute to the therapeutic alliance, but alliance has been studied really in a lot of detail. And really, they found 3 ingredients, 3 elements that contribute to the alliance. And warmth is only one of them. The other is agreement on the goals of therapy. And the third is agreement on how, as a team, we're going to reach those goals. So now into myth number 5. Confidence is really important in being an effective therapist. Well, this is partly true. And the nuance of that is really captured in this famous article around this topic. And the title of the article is, Love Yourself as a Person, Doubt Yourself as a Therapist. And so it seems to be, the research seems to show, that it's actually the combination of 2 sort of counter qualities. One, really valuing ourselves as a person, kind of believing and having confidence in our innate value and goodness and capacity, but also sort of doubting ourselves as a therapist. In other words, just having, at least you could say, some humility, really always questioning and wondering, am I doing good enough with this client? Is there anything I could be doing better? Whereas when people are both kind of love themselves and sort of think, oh yeah, I'm great as a therapist, actually that combination doesn't predict outcomes as well as this humility piece. It seems it's really important not to be arrogant and just assume that we're doing a great job. And now finally to the last myth, myth number 6. You can't teach someone how to be a great therapist because it is based on innate sort of inborn qualities or strengths. The truth is, just like any other area of expertise, therapy is based on micro skills that can be taught and learned through, a lot of practice. Now,